Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we're going to be looking at some more updates regarding the Ethan Klein copyright infringement lawsuits and some really bad news for those who are the subject of those related lawsuits. We're going to be looking at Denims, who's continuing to crash out over VTubers, as well as a very confusing legal defense that her attorney has raised in the related lawsuit that has awkwardly enough pitted her against Hasan Piker. And then we're going to look at another subject of these lawsuits, various Reddit and Discord users who are now faced with a situation where they have to share their personal information with the court, and now they're getting very nervous. And there's even allegations that they are now destroying potential evidence, which is a big no-no. But let's start with Denims, someone we've been talking about a decent amount over the past couple of months, ever since she was sued by Ethan Klein. And the other day we talked about her, and I'll play the clip real brief. She had a big crash out over Asmongold and VTubers as well, calling them gooner bait and also Nazis.
It seems like a couple VTubers before then, actually. He's been on his VTuber grind for forever. Asian Bunny X, respect, real, recognize, real. And then was like, you know what, dude? Yeah, it's time to goon, okay? Time to just VTube goon. So true. 3D women suck. None of them ever have loved me in my life. So it's okay. One of these VTubers, they're the only things that can ever love me. Goon time, goon. Oh, and he's following the Nazi gooner bait, obviously. This guy doesn't know when he's being pandered to. And he's like, goon, goon, goon. Oh, look, and he's following the Nazi rat VTuber too. Goon, 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 time to goon. And now he's here. That's so sad for you. That is really tough. That's really tough. That's a brutal life you lead, man. I hope one day you can find a friend. I don't think it's possible for you. I think it's too late for you, man. I think it's too late.
Yeah, so I think you understand why she was absolutely destroyed on Twitter for this one. This was an absolutely embarrassing clip. Pot calling the kettle black type situation. And she called out some people who are definitely not gooner VTubers or anything like that, and certainly not Nazis. And also the irony of trying to shame someone for following any of these VTubers, or really anyone, when you are someone who is on OnlyFans. I mean, it's just very ironic. And also you think about how she promoted her GoFundMe for the Ethan Klein lawsuit, and it's this right here, even with a picture of her holding a picture of a certain man from Germany. Very interesting for her to do that. But we've all said in pig battles as content creators that maybe when you look back, you're like, that really wasn't the hill to die on, or it wasn't worth the time or the energy. And that's something that happens to content creators. But when you're already facing this overarching, really big issue like the lawsuit that Denims is facing, you really got to pick and choose your battles carefully. And she picked not a battle with one person. She picked a battle with a medium, an entire medium. So a lot of people, this is their first and last impression of her in the VTubing scene, and it's not good. And a lot of the content creators she randomly called out, they're not happy about it either. So not a good move. And of course, she would go on this alt account that I just pointed out here and make a tweet continuing to seethe and try to gaslight people about what she said. So she says, make fun of gooners who only follow hot tub streamers and right-wingers, complete silence. Make fun of gooners who only follow female VTubers and right-wingers, intense malding. She still doesn't get it. She still doesn't get the fact that people are making fun of her because of the hypocrisy of an OnlyFans creator calling VTubers gooners just because they're VTubers. Like, she's just looking at their profiles in many cases. But then you have this interesting individual saying, you attacked their Oshi, so they got a white knight. And then Denim says, the same way that Rick and Morty fans storming McDonald's for the Szechuan sauce ruined Rick and Morty, the asocial neat freaks in the VTube community are actively trying their hardest to ruin VTubers. The only VTubers I attacked are the two right-wingers. Well, notice how she said right-wingers here, but the ones that she called out with this description, she called them Nazis. So a little bit different than just a simple right-winger. She knows what she's doing here, but again, up here, it's just the irony. You're calling these people gooners for following female VTubers, and also they were following male content creators and also hot tub streamers that she complimented because they're basically her, I guess, her co-workers in a sense on Twitch. So this whole thing is just more cope and seething for absolutely no reason. Like I said, she's got bigger things to worry about than what VTubers someone is calling you. She got one guide, right? She got one guide by some random user and had this crash out, and now she's known as the anti-VTuber person for no reason at all, and a big hypocrite, but we already knew that. But here we have Legal Mindset, who's been combing through a lot of the related documentation from the Ethan Klein lawsuits, and he made a very interesting discovery. A new defense has been raised by Denims and her attorney, and likely that defense will be shared by Casey Tron and Frogan as well. But basically, they're trying to say that the video, the subject of this copyright infringement lawsuit that she reacted to or didn't really react to, was highly accurate.
Next, this is the most shocking thing to me, is Denims came out, the attorney said, essentially, remember, TEI is Ethan Klein. So let's read this as Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein's highly factual works support greater dissemination. So literally here, people, we have Denims lawyers saying Ethan Klein is right and factual. What? I mean, I read this and I blinked. I'm like, wow, that's one way to put it. That's one way to put it. And I know what they're trying to do legally, but this puts Denims in a really awkward position because now if she says anything online other than everything that Ethan Klein said is true and factual, it's not opinion, everything that Ethan Klein said is fact, Denims, because if you go online now, Denims, and say that anything that Ethan Klein says is his opinion, well, that hurts your legal argument, darling. And that's not good for you. Because your lawyers just argued that he is indeed making factual arguments. Oopsie.
So yeah, that's a really interesting defense that is being raised. I mean, think about it, right? They're looking at the video that is the subject of these copyright infringement claims, and they're saying it's highly factual. And if you take a step back, this is the video that she and Casey Tron and Frogan were reacting to, or not reacting to at some points. And it's the content nuke on Hasan Piker by H3H3 Productions, aka Ethan Klein. And this is a nearly 2-hour long video that has a lot of very serious claims against Hasan. It calls out his support of terrorism, it calls out his anti-Semitism, it calls out his calls to violence, among many, many other things. So for Denims and her attorney to come out and as a defense say this is a highly factual video, kind of threw Hasan under the bus, didn't it? Like, dang. So how do you really reconcile with that? Because I'm assuming they're still friends. She now said this video that was a very strong case against Hasan is now highly factual. That's interesting, to say the least. And also it sets up a standard where her legal defense here could be absolutely eviscerated if she comes out and says something contrary to what was in that documentation. So if she comes out and says it's not accurate, Ethan made a bunch of mistakes in this video, what have you, she's really hurting her own legal defense at that point, because it's already a very odd one for her case. But yeah, she's just kind of throwing everyone she can under the bus at this point. And you know what, some people out there, they wouldn't blame her. And when you think further about this, a lot of the things just don't make sense, like her involvement with the content cop on H3 by iDubbbz. Like, she showed up to this after reacting to the content nuke on Hasan, and that was a big basis. The claims raised in that video was largely what was being addressed in the content cop. So she pulled up here, maybe not at the time yet thinking it was a highly factual video, but she was there to help out with the group effort to take down Ethan Klein, which obviously backfired quite horribly. But there's another party involved in this lawsuit, a bit of a wild card, if you will. The Redditors. Yeah, the Redditors, who have been they've been flying high for a bit, but they've gone too close to the sun. Okay, they have been hosting some very alarming behavior on that platform, and it's not just in the related subreddits. I genuinely believe this when I say it. Reddit is one of the most unhinged places. You know, people like to make jokes about Redditors and all that sort of stuff. It's been going on for years and years, but, you know, Twitch is bad in terms of, you know, calls to violence and stuff like that, but it's a very top-heavy problem with just like a handful of people causing a lot of the issues. On Reddit, stuff like that has been running rampant for a very long time, and they haven't faced any consequences. And now things are starting to get really serious because a lot of these moderators and administrators, whatever total list of people are involved here, they were part of trying to host and promote these content creators as market replacements for Ethan's video. And they've also hosted a lot of unhinged behavior that affects Ethan Klein. And now there has been a discovery request to figure out who these people are behind these anonymous accounts. And this is something that Denims and her lawyer, they agreed upon with Ethan's representation. Not only that, they expedited the discovery process, meaning they wanted to just get it over with, get into it, really throwing these people on their bus. But let's hear what's going on with the latest updates involving the team over at Reddit.
And let me read this quote here. Many of my fellow moderators have endured a deep psychological impact and fear of retaliation, to the point that Reddit admins offered us free subscriptions to privacy software that would help remove our PII. PII is personal identifiable information. And by the way, guys on this channel, remember that term. PII is some of the most, that is the gold of the modern era. Every company is trying to farm your PII. If they're trying to give you something for free, it's because they're farming you like an NPC. They're just farming you for that sweet, sweet PII. That's really at the undercurrent of a lot of what's going on. But here we go. Reddit here says, hey, we're going to help you scrub that information from the internet in case we are doxxed and harassed. So Reddit is actually engaging in potential, and once again, I'm going to say allegedly, according to this statement, once again, this is their own filing, but they literally told on themselves and said Reddit admins are helping them scrub evidence. So this can now be escalated by Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein can look at his lawyers, which I'm sure are going to get this clip. I'm very sure they're going to look at this quote over here and say, wait a second, Reddit admins are scrubbing evidence? Okay, now we're going to go deeper into Reddit and see what's going on here. What is going on with the protection of these people? How deep does this go? Now we may get cell phone logs. Now we may get text messages. Now we may get corporate emails because Reddit admins have decided to step in, not just the mods. They themselves, by their own filings, have deepened this lawsuit.
If what was said is true, that means they are destroying potential evidence, which is a big no-no. You don't need a law degree to understand that's a really bad idea. But these guys, they're nervous. They're very nervous. And honestly, they should be nervous because there's been a lot of unhinged things going on in the related subreddits and on Reddit generally. And they've gotten away with it with no consequences for so long. I think they're a little shocked that something's actually happening and things are only getting harder for the people over there. And it seems like they're trying to also, as stated by Legal Mindset in a different point of the video, they have tried to flood the system with like 700 pages in their documents, trying to really try a little too hard, you know, to bury the people trying to sift through the documents, you know, Ethan's representation. And it starts to look really suspicious. And then you have that claim over there about them hiring these people to delete their PII. And it's all starting to look a little suspicious and a little desperate to cover up something. What that's going to be, we're going to have to wait and see. But there's one more thing to point out about this related issue in the Ethan Klein lawsuits.
So really, at the end of the day, the basic question, the question that still remains at the end of this, and this is the question for the court, is does Ethan Klein, 10 Entertainment, have the right to know who willfully and deliberately engaged in copyright infringement against Ethan Klein with the intent to cause financial harm? So that's what the court has to ask. Does Ethan Klein have the right to know? And the answer, the spoiler alert, is clearly yes, right? The court is going to answer yes. There's no other possible answer. Like, it's not, oh, we get to hide. Oh, no, there's a right to hide because we have feelings. Oh, we might be, oh, no. No, you don't get to hide from consequences because you might be swatted. People face criminal prosecution, civil prosecution all the time, every single day. They're dragged out there in court. You think these people are so deranged, they believe that the internet is a shield, this magical shield, a magical barrier. And their little minds on Reddit are blown when this magical barrier disappears and all of a sudden you're exposed. Well, guess what? That's consequences. That's reality.
Yeah, I think looking at what he just said, it seems pretty obvious that this is happening for these Redditors. This is in motion. It's going to happen. And now they got to deal with it. And I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. That's all I'm saying. This is going to get real messy. And yeah, there's definitely going to be some precautions that can be taken to protect these people's identities a little bit. But there's only so much you can do. This is just how the court system works. And these people, it's going to be tough sledding. And like I said, with the status of Reddit and the related subreddits that have been targeting Ethan and his family for a very long time, they've shown really no regard for him and his safety. And it's kind of ironic now they are afraid for their own because now they're getting roped into these lawsuits. And it's probably a very eye-opening experience for them. But I'll put a link to this video in the description if you want to check out Legal Mindset. And he also announced that he has potentially another big discovery going on with this whole case, so we'll keep an eye on that. But anyways, for now, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.